Hello, my name is Taylor Darcy. I am a California licensed attorney. I help small businesses, startups, entrepreneurs with their legal needs to help them be more successful, creating a strong legal foundation to help you. Uh, Today, we're going to talk about why you should form a corporation. Now, this will be very similar to what I talked about in the LLC, why to form an LLC video. So, if you want to go check that one out, it's worth watching. I highly recommend it just to give you an idea of what you're looking at, what decisions that you need to make in this. People have this false notion that a corporation is better than an LLC. The truth is that it's not. There is no difference in the liability protection that goes with the corporation than what goes with an LLC. So why would you want to form one if it's not better? Well, the reality is that most people shouldn't. And about 80 to 90% of the time I would tell you to form an LLC. Now I would need to talk to you to discuss it with you to make that determination, but the idea is you want to limit your liability. You want to start a company and you want it to be something that allows you to build and to divest yourself from it. It's a lot easier to sell stock in a company than it is to sell stock in yourself. There's no such thing. And to transfer assets. It's a lot easier that the corporation owns all the assets and then you just sell your stock and you're able to move on, move away, or make a profit, right? That's the other part. That's something to consider. So why would you want to form a corporation? To limit your liability, but also for business reasons, right? I mean, a business entity is a more stable, stronger entity than just a sole proprietor. That's just a fact. There's less risk that's involved if I'm doing business with the corporation than I am with a sole proprietor, uh, because you're more established. You had to go through work to get there. You had to agree to follow the formalities. You had to agree to these things to have a registered agent. There's a structure involved, and it allows people that if there is a remedy, as I talked about in my last video about where does a corporation reside, or where I talked about in that video, it's very easy to find a corporation versus if a sole proprietor does something and they don't want to be found, it's actually fairly hard to find somebody, right? Versus a corporation, they have to register with the Secretary of State. They have to have a registered agent. They have to have chief executives. They have to have these things, these bylaws, shareholder agreements, all of these things that make it so that it's better to do business with the corporation than it is to do business with the sole proprietor, because if something goes bad or wrong or whatever, you have easier recourse to fight. Now, that doesn't mean it's better in every way possible, but those are the big reasons why you would want to form a corporation. People want to do business with you more. You can sell interest in it. Uh, the You can sell shares, right? If you need to get money for investors, you can sell shares. Now, I do have to warn you, there are securities regulations that are required for that, potentially, and that's definitely something you'd want to see an attorney about. But that option is there that you don't have as a sole proprietor. Now, you can sell a membership interest in an LLC, so there's nothing wrong with that. But shares tend to divest a little bit easier than a membership interest. I'm not saying it's not done. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm simply telling you from a logistical standpoint that people like to buy shares. It's more familiar. People like familiarity, right? And so they'll do things with what they know, and that's important because an LLC is still a relatively new uh, business entity. People aren't familiar with them as much as they are with the corporation, and so sometimes people's personal preference is that they do a corporation as opposed to an LLC because that's what they know. And unfortunately, I've had a few accountants that say do a corporation because it's better liability protection. Well, the reality is it's no different. But if that's what you want to do, just know what you're getting yourself into. Know that it's not necessarily better. It's just different. Also, it depends on your goals. If you have no desire to ever go public, then a corporation doesn't have the same need or a same benefit as a non a corporation like an LLC and whatnot. So, but those are all factors, right? I can't tell you what to do because I don't know your individual situation. I'm giving you information so that you can kind of get an idea of what, when I'm talking with the client, the things that I discuss with them to find out to help guide them to making the right decision, because the wrong decision can be expensive. And for case in point, a corporation requires corporate formalities and an LLC does not. You have to do an operating agreement and all these other things that I talked about in the LLC videos, but it's not the same level. In a corporation, you have to keep up with these things. Annual meetings, annual minutes, all of these things, board meetings, shareholders, chief executives, things of that nature. And so it's a lot more complicated of a process. And if you fail to follow those, then it's easier for them to pierce the corporate veil. Okay, so that's not what you want to do. That's not where you want to be. An LLC, on the other hand, it's because the same level of formalities aren't required, you're able to get further, you're able to run the business smoother without that same level. So again, it really depends on what your goals are and what's right for you. And these are all things that I discuss with you as when you meet with me. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, I'd love to hear from you. Hit them in below and we'll talk. I hope you're having a great day and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye.